Hey there, it's Nicole McWork, and today I have some stamped frames using CC Designs stamps to share with you. These are just some Halloween decor that I made for my own house, and this is the first of two videos. I couldn't quite fit all the coloring of all three into one, so I'm splitting it up into two. So the first thing I'm doing is using my Stamp-A-Majig to position the little superhero guy on my background, and I just cut 3 pieces of 5x7 white smooth express cardstock. I guess I didn't like how I did that one, so I'm going to redo it real quick. Line it up there, line up the plastic piece of the Stamp-A-Majig with the T-square, carefully remove that plastic piece out of the way, and stamp. So there is my first guy, and I am going to create a little scene out of him. So I made a mask by stamping on the Ink-A-Dink-A-Doo masking paper. I cut it out, masked him off, and now I've stamped the little fence and moon. It's called a Halloween scene, also from CC Designs. And I stamped it on my clear sheet for the Stamp-A-Majig and inked up my stamp. I'm using the stamp press, line it up with my T-square and press. Make sure I get that pressed on there real good. And there you can see my little scene. However, I'm not done masking, so I created a mask for the moon and the fence as well, and I'm using the Friend Definition Cling Background Stamp from Hero Arts and Antique Linen Distress ink, and I'm going to stamp that, center it right over the design and stamp it down. Really make sure I press that down good because I'm not using an acrylic block with my background stamp. And there it is. And now I can peel up the masks because I won't be needing them anymore. And I didn't bother masking off any of those little leaves there. It just would be too tedious. And the distress ink is so light that I can color right over it. So there's the mat for the frame. So see if that looks good, and it does. I'm going to follow the same steps for my other images, and now I'm just adding a little bit of decoration to the others because I didn't really stamp a scene. I used some Friendship Jar fall fillers from Paper Tray Ink, the little web and the spider, and added those to the image of the CC Designs Stamp Witch. I thought those would be fun additions. And then I'm using the Paper Tray Ink Bin Bood Collection Half Moon and some bats for the little dragon. Stamp a couple of bats real quick. Can't decide where I want to put him. And there is that. Again, I'm going to check and make sure that my frame goes over it and everything's centered and looks good. So for coloring of the little guy in the dragon costume, I'm just going to speed through it, colored his skin, add a little blush for his cheeks, and then just keep adding color. I use E000, E00, and E11 for the face tones here, for all 3 images actually, and then R20 blush for the cheeks. And then I'm using some greens, and I chose to go with a little bit more muted greens. These are some of my favorites. Because I used some distress ink for the background, I wanted it to have more of a softer feel, like it wasn't a brand new image, just kind of a older type, vintage type image. So I didn't go with the real bright colors. Just keep adding shading. I'm using about 4 different shades of these greens for my little guy here. Sorry I went out of the frame there for coloring his leg. Bring it back down here and blend it all together really well. Get rid of those harsh lines. Just color in little circles to help blend all that out really well. I colored his little spikes a little bit darker color in the same color family. And going back over it just a little, I thought he needed just a tiny bit more shading. And again, blend it all out really well. Get rid of any of those harsh lines. Color his little wing in, blend that Then I used a little bit of yellow on the eyes. I just didn't like them white, so I used a couple of shades of yellow just to kind of give him a little look, and then I colored his hair blonde. And then he is finished. And I'll show you, I just have this frame, and it was an inexpensive frame from my local discount store. It came already with the mat inside of it. I'm just going to put it back together. And this is something like I could switch out the images for each season if I wanted to. So there is the finished frame. Next I'm going to color the little witch. She's super cute, and I'm going to make her red-haired. I don't know, I think the little red-haired witch is so cute. I use Y11 first, and then I take E08. It's called brown, but it is so not brown. It's very reddish in color. And then I just keep adding layers until I have it to where I like it. And now I'm going to color her skin just like I colored the other one. Shade that all in really good. Color some stripes on her tights with some greens and some oranges. And then I'm going to color her hat and her dress. They're a purple shade, but it's a very deep purple. So you can see there that it's not a bright purple. Again, I wanted to go with the more muted shades. And I'm adding a little bit more pop of color with the greens and the oranges in her little apron, just for a fun touch. These are some of my favorite colors to use together for Halloween images. And all of the Copic colors that I used will be shown in a photograph on my blog post on October 9th. And then I'm coloring in her shoe with some grays. And they kind of resembled her dress a little too much, so I went back over them with a little bit darker colors, let them dry a little bit, because those grays tend to bleed if you aren't careful. And now I'll just color in the little owl sitting there on her hat with some shades of brown. For more information on this project, please visit my blog at www.nicolemcgork.typepad.com on October 9th, 2010. Thanks for watching.